For the past 2 months, France's trade union leaders have led protests like this one in Paris against the president's planned public sector reforms.
The unions are here to support public sector workers and send a message that the politics of favoring 10% of the population to the detriment of the other 90% must stop.
The government says that streamlining the public sector and cutting thousands of jobs will help reduce debt and create new opportunities. But workers say the reforms will destroy their rights.
The government says it won't back down, but they always say that. So if people keep fighting and protesting, they'll be forced to.
The government is hurting public services, so we're fighting not just for ourselves, but for France's vital public services.
For decades, France's trade unions have been a fearsome force. In 1995, nationwide strikes compelled the Conservative leadership to scrap a raft of reforms. It was the biggest social movement since May 1968, when workers and students nearly brought down the government. But it seems that history is not about to repeat itself.
When these protests began 2 months ago, many people said they could be Emmanuel Macron's biggest test. Could the French president win his battle against the trade unions? Well, lots of people have turned out for this protest, but there is no doubt, it seems that momentum is actually on Macron's side.
The number of protesters has been dwindling. Opinion polls suggest public support for the strikers is low, and many people accept that Macron was elected as a reformer. Some analysts also say that the trade unions are much weaker than in the past. 60 years ago, a third of the workforce was unionized, but today it's a different picture.
France's unions have a very low rate of membership. It's around 10% of staff. It's a very French thing that traditionally the unions are very visible, so you think they're very powerful, but actually they're very small, so it's difficult to try and mobilise lots of people with such small numbers.
Macron has already passed key reforms, including a new work law. His reform of the National Railway is in the Senate this week, having already cleared the National Assembly. He seems to be on track to win this fight, and if he does, some say the glory days of France's unions could be over. Natacha, Butler, Al Jazeera, Paris.